Not only is it Valentine's Day, but it is the day that the Washington Nationals pitchers and catchers report to West Palm Beach. So, what should you be excited about entering 2024? One key word I'll share with you after that.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can check us out over on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. Just search Locked On Nationals there. And when you go over on YouTube, hit that subscriber button for me. That'll be much appreciated. And of course, it is your daily content for the Washington Nationals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. And later on in today's show, pitchers and catchers reporting today. I'm going to have a little portion on the catchers. You got Keibert Ruiz coming off last year, just got an extension with the Nationals. Riley Adams coming off a hamate bone injury, and as well as a couple other prospects who are intriguing enough to talk about. And of course, Drew Milas as well, that we're going to discuss later on. And then the second segment, pitchers. What should you expect? What should you expect with the starting pitching staff, the bullpen? We'll just kind of give you a quick preview as pitchers and catchers report today. You're going to see all the different bullpens, guys throwing off mounds for the first time since October. It's going to be a fun day here on Locked On Nationals. But let's kind of just start off talking about the 2024 season. You now kind of flip the page. You're done with the offseason now. The season is officially here. What is there to expect with this Washington Nationals ball club? What is there really to expect? What is there to be excited about, even with this Nationals team? And really, I kind of phrased it one way. What is one word to describe 2024 for this Washington Nationals team? The best word that I could come up with is opportunity. Again, if you're an everydayer out there, first off, thank you. Second off, you know where I may be going with this. This Nationals team and in this rebuild, it's all about opportunity. It's always been about opportunity. You need your young prospects to come up to the major leagues and hopefully make an impact and start to kind of get some better results going forward. You've seen it over the years. CJ Abrams this last year, you could say he kind of had his breakout season, but even then we still expect just a little bit more. Mackenzie Gore came in, had some good seasons, had Josiah Gray last year have an all-star campaign. Keibert Ruiz took a step up at the plate, but took a step back defensively. It's all about opportunity. And I think as we get into spring training here, with obviously you saw the big league spring training invitees, it's filled with a bunch of prospects with Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Brady House, Trey Lipscomb, all the big name guys, Darren Baker as well. There's so many different guys who are going to be in the mix to have a pretty big impact on this major league club at some point in the 2024 season. So going into this year, it's not about the wins and losses, unfortunately. It's just not going to be like that. This last year, the Nationals, they exceeded expectations. They were expected to be one of, if not the worst team in all of baseball. It wasn't the case this year. They won 70-plus games, in which is not bad. 71 wins, 91 losses. I'll take that any day of the week. But what should you be excited about? And I think it just kind of goes back to what we've always been saying over the last few years since you made that trade, sending Juan Soto to the San Diego Padres. It's still about the youth here. Don't get it twisted. This Nationals team, they may be a little bit better, they may be a little bit worse, but it's still just about one thing at this moment in time. The Nationals, they need to figure out what they've got in their younger prospects. That is why this year will be an exciting one for this Nationals team, because guess what? They've got a plethora of prospects who could be knocking on the door of the majors at some point this year. And once you see guys like Dylan Cruz in the majors, once you see James Wood, Cade Cavalli making an impact, once you have Brady House, maybe eventually, or Trey Lipscomb, all these kind of bigger name guys we've always talked about here on the show, once you see guys like that up in the big leagues, making an impact, staying over at third base, playing center field, batting 280 with hitting 10 home runs over the course of 2 weeks, whatever it is, that is the exciting portion of this Nationals team. That is why you get yourself back to saying, well, what is 2024 about? What is the one word to explain this Nationals team? And it is opportunity. The opportunity of these younger guys. You don't have these big-time free agents blocking you. You're not the Los Angeles Dodgers over here. You're not spending crazy amount of money to block your prospects down in the minors and have them develop a little bit more. That's not the case here in DC. You have a handful of prospects who could be coming up who might getting blocked by Nick Senzel maybe over at third base, whatever it may be. Even then, Nick Senzel is probably out of the picture at this moment. But it's going to be an exciting season. Not because of the wins and losses. You're not going to be rooting for this team to make an October run. Let's just be honest. That's just kind of how it is at this moment. But what the exciting part of this year is you're going to see the future of this Nationals team. Because I still believe in this future. I still believe in this process that the Nationals have been going through. I think that they have a couple of prospects that will be very legit baseball players once they're up in the majors. And even then, you could see a lot more. You could see a lot more prospects come out of this system than what we anticipate at this moment. You could see some trades at the deadline. Guys maybe bounce back. You could see Lane Thomas take another step up this year. This season is all about the opportunity for young guys, for guys who are already on this roster right now. Victor Robles, this is last year. It's over with Victor Robles if he does not turn his career around. He'll go somewhere else. He'll play somewhere, but he's not going to be a starting center fielder. He's not going to be an everyday player on any Major League Baseball team. Because even then, you can also bring up a guy like Jacob Young, someone who came up last year, made a couple web gem plays in his first week in the majors, and it looked pretty good. You expect someone like him who's going to have a lot more opportunities than what maybe a lot of people have anticipated. You have Jake Galoo, another young guy who could be making the Major League roster, who could, be an odd man out eventually, but still, he could make the roster and he could make an impact in doing so. Jake Irvin this last year, kind of coming up out of nowhere, looking very good down the stretch for this Nationals ball club. This year is going to be about the young guys and the opportunities that come with it. That is the fun part of this Nationals team. Again, this is going to be all about the future. It has always been that way. 2024 was always going to be this way, and it will continue to be that way. That's just the way that the Nationals are right now. And you're going to see a lot more excitement than what you have over the last few years because the expectations, they should be higher. Now, are they going to win 71 games again? Not necessarily. You can't really say that for a fact at this moment. Injuries could pile up. A lot of growing pains could be coming. Cade Cavalli's going to be coming back. He'll be making an impact. If it's either a good one or a bad one, we'll just have to see. Jake Irvin can kind of land back on earth. You could have Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray also kind of land back on earth and maybe not be all that great. But that's kind of the half glass empty approach. I don't really do that. I think this Nationals team, they're in a good spot right now. In fact, they're in a pretty decent spot. You could say that to say the least. They're not in a perfect spot. It's not the spot that you necessarily want to be in because this team's not going to have a winning record, most likely. But still, it's not about the wins this year. It's about the development of your young core and establishing that young core. Because if you can't establish that young core, and what would that look like? It would look like C.J. Abrams having a very good season. It would look like Mackenzie Gore, Josiah Gray establishing himself, maybe Jake Irvin establishing himself as a guy in the major leagues. There's a lot of different ways. Cade Cavalli's in the mix. Keibert Ruiz taking another step up, getting his defensive metrics back on board too. If you have your core set in stone, then this offseason, it'll be a fun one because you're going to be able to spend money. You're going to have Patrick Corbin off the books, no more $35 million annually. You're going to have Steven Strasburg another year shortened to maybe having him release. Who knows what could happen there, but still, you understand the gist of the point. This Nationals team going forward, it may not be sunshine and rainbows in 2024, but there is still something to watch for. And it is your young prospect, your young core. And if they can gel and move together, it's going to be an exciting season. And a lot of people, they may not call that a success because they want to see wins in the W column. But at the end of the day, the Nationals, they're looking at their prospects. You want to see them develop. And if they were to develop, then you'll see a next step up. But also real quick, before we kind of move on to previewing the pitchers, and as pitchers and catchers do report today, after all, on this Valentine's Day, this episode is, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets. If your first bet of $5 or more wins, just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Winning 71 games should probably be your goal, considering you won 71 games last year. But real quick before we move on, 71 wins might be a little not all that doable this year because the Nationals, obviously, they could not pick inside the top 10 from this last year and how the new MLB draft rules work and everything like that. You all understand the point. It's a very stupid rule, in my opinion, but still, the Nationals now, what could happen? Are they going to win 71 games? Honestly, it would not surprise me whatsoever if the Nationals probably took a step back in the win-loss column this year. Last year, they knew what was coming. You could not pick inside the top 10. And we all know what happened. The Nationals won the lottery. They would have picked number 1 overall if just everything were normal, but still, it's not. We understand that at this moment. But now going forward, the Nationals, they may want to take a step back. They may sell off a little bit more pieces at this deadline, considering if you're going to have a losing record, most likely. You're not going to sell off any of the young guys, but still, you could maybe consider Lane Thomas or other younger pieces who may not be a part of this future. We'll just have to see, but still, don't be surprised if the Nationals take a step back from that 71 win column. I'm not calling it right now. We're going to have to see what happens. We're going to have to see if the Nationals add a little bit more starting pitching. We're going to have to see what guys can do. Then, of course, before the season starts, before the regular season starts, I'll have my official win-loss prediction that we'll get to at a different date. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, check us out over on Twitter at Locked On Nationals, and check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button for us, please, and thank you. Next, let's talk about some pitchers as they report to spring training. It'll be a fun season, as you will all want to see what goes forward with this Nationals ball club. But before we get into that, let me tell you guys about our good friends over at Gametime. And guys, when we talk about Gametime, you need to know that you should never have to worry about when you buy tickets to your next big event, because Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guaranteed. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And what are some of the things you like about Gametime app? I can tell you mine. My favorite ones, last-minute tickets, are flash deals, zone deals, and easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. And also my favorite feature is that you can view your seats from your phone right then and there. It shows you a nice little image. So if there's any obstruction or anything of that sort, you can find that out. And only Gametime does that. That is why. And they, of course, they always have the lowest price guaranteed, and event cancellation protection, job loss protection, whatever it is, Gametime has got you covered. And also, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDO for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And as pitchers and catchers report today for your Washington Nationals, let's talk about some of these pitchers here first. We all know last year in 2023 was not the prettiest year for Nationals starting pitchers. You had Patrick Corbin starting on opening day, got off to a rough start there. Josiah Gray starting game 2 against the Braves, very rough start if you remember. 2 home runs to start the first inning there, not great. But this Nationals team now, going into this season, the starting pitching staff, is it really much different? It's really not. But here's the thing. There are some things that I think Nationals fans can expect to be a lot better this year. Number one, this staff will be better. I do believe in that. I know it may be hard to believe. It may be hard to kind of fathom, because what did they do? Are you going to expect a huge jump forward from Mackenzie Gore? Me personally, I do. I think Mackenzie Gore, again, if you've been watching Locked On Nationals, first off, thank you. Second off, you may know where I'd be going with this. Mackenzie Gore is probably the best pitcher the Nationals have on their starting rotation. Simple as that, in my opinion. This is someone who does have kind of that Cy Young caliber ceiling if you were to discuss any of these guys. You're not going to give it to Jake Irvin. I don't think you're going to give it to Josiah Gray at this moment in time, but I think Mackenzie Gore, with his strikeout rate, with really just all the things considered from this last year, he had threw way too many balls, obviously, in 2023. But if he can kind of control his control, then I think Mackenzie Gore probably has the highest ceiling as far as Nationals starting pitcher goes. That's not really a hot take, though. You guys may understand that already. But his big breaking curveball, you're going to be seeing a big jump forward from Mackenzie Gore. That is kind of one of the reasons as to why I think this Nationals pitching staff will be a little bit better. Also, with that said, Cade Cavalli. Cade Cavalli, people kind of forget about him. Obviously, you can because he just had Tommy John surgery this last year, but this is still someone who put up very big numbers down in the minor leagues. In 2022, got his call up to the majors in August, got rocked around that very first start, but still, Cade Cavalli is someone that you should not just be overlooking. He is not someone that you just kind of look off to the side and say, he's going to be a middle of the rotation guy. Maybe that is the expectations now for moving forward. Let's see how his velocity is. You just haven't been able to see that up to this point. You haven't been able to see any reports on it. Maybe we could start seeing that maybe today. We'll just have to see as he throws off a mound maybe for the first time over the next few weeks. But with what this national starting pitcher staff is going to be, it's going to be a little bit more consistent. Jake Irvin, in my opinion, is going to be a lock in the rotation. You're going to have Patrick Corbin, who's going to be a back-end starter as well. Is he going to be good? Probably not. Again, you all know the gist. I don't need to talk about Patrick Corbin here. But looking at it from this perspective, number 1, Josiah Gray. 2, Mackenzie Gore. 3, Patrick Corbin, I guess. Number 4, Cade Cavalli, eventually. Number 5, Patrick Corbin / Trevor Williams / whoever may be coming up to the major leagues. This national staff, it's not all too exciting. But when you have those young pieces there in stone, again, it goes back to what we were talking about in that first segment. Opportunity with this team. You have to have guys, and also with what this Nationals team is, I'm going to go off on a little different tangent here. They have these different kind of guys in the rotation. Now, pre-Tommy John for Cade Cavalli, you kind of have your flamethrower 99 to 100 to 101, who's going to be sitting there kind of blowing guys away with his fastball. Cade Cavalli, let's just assume for right now that's what he's going to be. You have Cade Cavalli there. That's a pretty good start. Then you have your left-handed pitcher who's going to kind of dink and dunk his way and get a lot of strikeouts, get a lot of swings and misses. Then you have Mackenzie Gore. Josiah Gray, kind of another one of those guys who used to be able to blow a fastball by you, but now has got a deep arsenal who's going to pick many different pitches to throw at you, and you'll never really be able to see the predictable side of him. But we all know he's going to have to stay consistent with the mechanics, and if he can do that, you see very good results from Josiah Gray. And then also you have Jake Irvin, who in my opinion is not only a lock to me in this opening day lineup, but will probably make an impact at some point this season. Will probably have a pretty good stretch at any point during 2024. I believe in Jake Irvin. And Jake Irvin, as far as what he does best, kind of similar to a little bit of a mix between Gore and Gray in a sense. He's not going to blow you away with his fastball. His fastball velocity is fine. It's a tick above average, I guess you could say. But that's not really his game. Jake Irvin, in my opinion, from what I saw this last year, he's not going to go deep into games, go 6-7 innings. That's not necessarily what you need from him. But I think he's going to give you 4 to 5 quality starts. I think he's going to give you, or quality innings, rather, per start. That's the kind of attraction that I think this Nationals team could do this year, because if you look at it, the Nationals, they need some quality starts. This last year, at the top of the rotation, as far as Major League Baseball goes, the Minnesota Twins had 76 quality starts out of 162 games. The Nationals, they sat way below Major League average with 50 quality starts this past season. The Nationals, and their quality start percentage is also obviously way down, as the Nationals sat at a 31% of a quality start percentage compared to the Twins, who was at a 47%. If the Nationals can somehow kind of close that gap just a little bit this year, in which I think they can, you're going to see a much improved just overall product of this team. It may not come in wins and losses, because again, I think this Nationals offense could be lacking some star power eventually, but still, it's going to be better. It will be. We'll just have to see what happens with this team moving forward. And also, they could add some free agents that maybe we'll just have to see and what they do there. Next, let's talk about some of the catchers reported today. Keibert Ruiz. What's going to happen with that kid? We'll discuss after I tell you guys about our good friends over at FanDuel. And guys, get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. And of course, if you're betting on the Wizards, you gotta fade them. You all know the Wizards are the second worst team in basketball. Do that and go with our friends at FanDuel. And when you go to FanDuel, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot, because FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Now we get back into it, as Nationals pitchers have reported today, but also the catchers have reported as well. The Nationals have 3 intriguing catchers reporting today to West Palm Beach there at their site, the Cacti Field site, whatever it's called now, named after Travis Scott. I don't know, many of you care about that out there, but that's kind of cool in my opinion, because obviously the Nationals do share that facility with the Houston Astros, and team that which they beat in the 2019 World Series in 7 games, beat all 4 games in Houston. If you did not know that, that's a little history lesson for you out there. If you're not a Nationals fan, now you know. So with this said, what should you expect from catchers this year? Just kind of going over it just real quick here. Keibert Ruiz is obviously someone that a lot of people want to see take a pretty big step up. And Keibert Ruiz, you've seen it. 2021, when he came up to the majors, he had some nice little success there in a few weeks up with the bigs. 2022, starting the year, was solid. He had some good season, a good stretch of that season. 2023 came up, looked pretty good, got his extension. Defensively, it was a mess, though. It was a complete train wreck. But with what Keibert Ruiz can do this year, I still believe in him. I still believe in the prospect of him. It's not just because this Nationals team gave him a pretty hefty extension, but he's got talent. A switch hitting catcher is not only kind of like a sexy thing nowadays, but it's also someone where Keibert Ruiz could get damage done at the plate and also behind the plate defensively. But where he's going to have to improve most, and what I need to see from Keibert Ruiz to really kind of put my faith back into him all the way, is see a little bit of an improvement defensively behind the plate. Blocking pitches, calling better games, throwing runners out, back picking guys over at first base. What he did so well back in 2022 that he did not do all too hot in 2023. Get back to the ways that we saw him, because last year certainly was a step back. If you check Baseball Savant, you see the catching metrics. It's in the bottom 10 percentile as far as Major League Baseball go at basically any defensive metric that you look at. That's not good. That's not good by any means of the imagination here. But with what Keibert Ruiz can bring to the table, a switch hitting catcher with some pop who can hit the ball, and he can hit it very far and long, by the way. But now you just got to see a step up defensively. You want to see a little bit more power, a little bit more consistent power. I think that is when you'll see a better version of Keibert Ruiz. Riley Adams, coming off a broken hamate injury from the back end of this last season, we'll just have to see, because I think this is a very tough injury for catchers, especially for power hitters. You saw it with Robert Hassel this last year. He broke his hamate bone back in the 2022 Fall League in Arizona and did not have a good 2023. Now, we're not going to say that's because of the broken bone, but you could probably also tie some dots there and say this may be why. So Robert Hassel, and as well as Riley Adams, coming off these injuries, it's going to be a tough one, because Riley Adams, he had a very good first half of the season last year. It was very impressive. At some points there where we were talking about how Keibert Ruiz and Riley Adams should probably split a little bit more time than what they do. Riley Adams, your expectations should still be there. He's solid defensively, or at least a little bit better than what Keibert Ruiz was this last year. His offensive numbers that he put up in much more limited time behind the plate were very good and very impressive. But also, that's not just it. Drew Milas as well kind of came and bursted onto the scene. You traded him from the Oakland Athletics just a few years ago. He's kind of cooking down in your farm system, had a very good 2023 season in AA, got promoted to AAA, was pretty good, and then eventually got the call up in the second half of this national season in 2023. Now, you're going to see him. You'll probably crack the major league lineup at some point early on this season. Maybe he replaces Riley Adams if he's not ready to go right away, but we'll just have to see, because there's a lot of question marks to answer about this national team, but the catcher position is actually one of the better ones, in my opinion. That is something we can get into at a later date. But of course, it's Pitchers and Catchers Day. They report to West Palm Beach. And as we sit here today, as you may be listening to this right now, you're going to hear the pop of the glove. I can't do the pop of the glove, but You get what I'm saying? Pitchers and catchers are reporting today. They're throwing off the mound. Get excited, everybody. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Go Nats. Have a good one. Baseball is officially back.